President, please be seated. The chamber now continue hearing the testimony from the witness, and now the floor is given to the international deputy co-prosecutor to put further question to the witness. You have the floor now.
Sir, as a member of the Khmer Rouge Army or Navy, or military forces, did you have any ability to disobey orders? Was it possible for you to disobey orders?
No, I could not disobey order. If there was an order coming down, we needed to enforce it.
What happened to those who would disobey an order?
Those who disobey the orders would face problems.
When you say problems, what do you mean?
There would be action taken afterward, like arrest, or they would be sent to re-education.
Sir, I'm going to read from your statement, again, the same one, E319/23.3.44. In answer 36, you said this: I once transported persons captured by my ship and brought them to U Chu Til port. They totaled 12 to 13. I still remember that amongst them was a man with an amputated hand. Sir, do you remember now being part of transportation, your group transporting people captured by your ship, 12 or 13, including a man with an amputated hand?
Yes, I remember that those people were arrested and they brought in, and those captured people were beaten before they were transported out of U Chu Til.
What kind of people were these? Were these armed soldiers, or what were they?
Based on the question of those ethnic Vietnamese people on the boat, the man with amputated arm was a soldier. Besides them were ordinary people. When we asked them, where were you heading to? And then they answer, they were heading to Thailand. And they were arrested between the island of Tang and Pulawai, and they were brought into the port.
Did they have any arms or attempt to resist arrest?
No, there were no guns.
Do you remember a baby being among that group? Do you remember if there was an infant?
Yes, I remembered. At that time, when they were brought into U Chu Til port, the baby cried loudly because the mother was tied up, and then the baby were fed with breastfeeding, and then the soldiers threw the baby into the sea.
Thank you. Now, when you were working at the Ô Chu Teel port, do you remember approximately how many Vietnamese were brought in to that port, captured at sea?
In 1977, I witnessed once or twice, and later on, there were no incident where harms caused to the arrested people. The people were brought in and then they were taken out immediately.
Well, people were brought in and taken where?
I
I did not know where they were taken to because my responsibility was assigned to base at the port.
Well, I'm a bit confused because of an answer that you gave during your interview. And this is E319/23.3.46 at answer 9. You were asked how long you worked at Ô Chu Teel Port. And you said, I worked there the whole year of 1978 until the Vietnamese came. You were then asked how often they sent people through the Ô Chu Teel port and how many people came to the port each time. Your answer, answer 10, was the number of captured totaled thousands, as far as I know. Each month consisted of 10 to 50 persons. You were then asked, based on your experience and knowledge in your unit and other units of the Navy, between 1975 and 1979, approximately how many civilians, refugees, and fishermen who entered Cambodian territorial waters were captured and killed? And you answered, thousands. They included Thai fishermen and Vietnamese fishermen and refugees who were arrested and killed on the sea, on the islands, or on the mainland. Sir, is that true, what I just read? Did you have that information?
Yes, that's correct. I would like to apologize that I could not recall everything from 1977 to 1978 because there were many things happen. People were arrested and sent through the port. Among them were Thai fishermen and ethnic Vietnamese who were traveling to Thailand. So at that time, they were arrested and killed, and they were not sent out to anywhere.
Now, sir, did you ever get any information about where people were killed who were taken to shore and where they were buried?
I did not go beyond my place. At Ô Chu Teel port, people were transported to Kampong Saum. They were killed, but I did not know the exact site where they were executed. Beside Kampong Saum, they were also killed at orange and coconut plantation, and I knew some of this.
Thank you. How did you learn that people were killed at the coconut plantation?
In 1976-77, I used to live somewhere near the orange plantation because I was considered as I was punished, so they sent me to do rice farming near Riem, and at that time people who were killed come from the regiment where I work, that is regiment 900, that is regiment 162, and those who were arrested from this regiment were sent to be killed at the orange plantation, and their dead body were used as fertilizer.
Thank you. Just so we're clear, who was it that was being killed and their bodies used for fertilizer? What types of people? They were Thai and ethnic Vietnamese people. Do you remember how you learned about that? I know you were not involved yourself, but how did you learn about those killings?
I live close to the execution site, and my biography in my original regiment 162. So some of the soldiers who lived with me and I knew, I asked them, and those soldiers told me that there were execution.
By the way, can you just explain to us briefly why it was that you were being punished at that time?
Thank you for your question. At that time, I was based in 162 regiment. They had discipline, and they did not have confidence in me as a good soldier, because my group consisting of 12 people, which were responsible for sawing wood, and at that time there were bad words. They consider us devils, and then they arrested one person from the battalion, and they saw the written word devil written, so they asked all of us in the unit to gather at the battalion, and they asked us, which one among all of you written that bad words? At that time I was illiterate, I could not read. I told them that I could not write, and at that time I did not attend the meeting, and I did not participate in the writing of that bad word. So 5 or 6 among my group were responsible for the writing of that bad word, so all of them were arrested, and later on they withdrew confidence from me. I was considered as a suspected element, so they punished me by sending me to the rice field near the orange plantation.
They had written the word Tamil or devil, which, is that correct?
No, the word Tamil means communist devils, which violate their law. That's why those people were arrested and sent to prison. And as for me, they withdrew confidence from me and sent me to do rice farming because they consider me as a suspected element of KGB or Vietnamese spy.
Thank you. So during that period of time that you were under suspicion and near Riem, did you also learn about the fate of 17 April people in that area?
Thank you for your question. I knew about the 17 April people in Koki village, Smackdike. They withdrew from Riem and Kongkeng and sent them to Koki village at Smackdike. I knew about what were happening in 1970, in the end of 1977. I knew about this because I was assigned to work with the 17 April people. But when I did my rice farming with these people, I noticed that there were disappearance of them one after another, and I suspect this. I asked a soldier who were responsible for herding the ducks who were assigned, who were located near the Koki village. I asked the soldier, I noticed the disappearance of the 17 April people who worked with me. Where were they sent to? The soldier told me those 17 April people were transported 2 or 3 trucks and killed at Jamnaut execution site. This is the true story.
Thank you, sir. Sir, when you were with the Khmer Rouge naval forces, was there a difference in your orders about how to treat people that you found on the boats? Was there a difference if they were Thai or if they were Vietnamese as far as what happened to them?
There were different treatment. I would like to tell you about this. In 1976, which I already gave the answer, I myself arrested the ethnic Vietnamese from a boat consisting of around 10 people. And among them, they were armed and they shot at us. So there came an order from the upper level to sink them because they shot at us. So we sank their boat. Later on, I arrested 3 Thai ships, which is 840 horsepower and a different horsepower, and those people on boat, each boat consisted of 15 people, 20 people, So those Thai fishermen were sent to Riem. And later on, I was assigned to work at Riem, and I met those Thai people. They work at a dam at Riem. No, they worked at a dam at Koh Takeo. So I were assigned to work at Koh Takeo, and I met those Thai people. I asked the guard who guarded those Thai people whether those Thai people would be sent to be killed or sent to somewhere else. The guard told me that they would not kill those Thai people. They would send these Thai people back to Thailand, and that was what I was told.
And what about Vietnamese people who were not armed, were not soldiers, the refugees you spoke about? What would be their fate in your experience?
Mr. President, I would like to object to this question. It's been asked before as well. Prosecution makes it sound that there is only a possibility either be an armed soldier or a refugee. You don't have to be a soldier, you don't have to be in a uniform, you don't have to be armed to be a soldier. So I would appreciate if the prosecution asks this neutrally. So if a boat, an unknown boat enters into territorial water, it is unclear who these people are. I think it is standing practice in every country also today that the boat is stopped. The fact that a person on boat is not armed or is not wearing a uniform doesn't necessarily mean he's not military.
Your Honor, just to be clear, our case is, and the evidence is, people unarmed, not in uniform, not soldiers, were killed. And that's what I'm getting at. No international law allows the killing of people, even if they were soldiers and were captured, without any legal process, which is what our case is about.
I wasn't referring to the killing of civilians.
That's what I'm asking.
I was referring to who was on the boat. The fact that someone is on a boat and not armed, not wearing a uniform, doesn't not necessarily mean he couldn't be a Vietnamese military. I think, I'm not talking about the killing, I'm talking about what this witness potentially saw on a boat in open sea.
I think counsel will have 3/4 of a day to ask those questions when we get to next year. Sir, what would happen, what were your orders? You talked about the Thais were not killed. What were the orders of what happened as far as what to do with Vietnamese refugees? I'm not talking about people who are armed or are soldiers. What was the orders that you received about them?
The Vietnamese were treated differently from the Thai. The Vietnamese were considered as the hereditary enemy of Pol Pot. So regardless of whether they are military or civilians, when they had guns, they must be shot.
What about when they did not have guns? Many of the people you stopped, you said, were refugees. Is that correct? Many of the people that the naval forces stopped.
As I gave in my previous answer, those without guns were arrested and sent to Ochetil to be sent further to the division headquarters. Here I talk about what happened in 1976 when I was not yet joined Division 164, when I was still with Regiment 162. At that time, I would like to tell you that when I captured the Thai ship or sank the Vietnamese vessels, it was orders from my regiments and my battalion. When there was one Vietnamese vessel which had guns, our Cambodian boats chased them down and they shot at us. When we knew them that they were ethnic Vietnamese and they had guns, and then we received the order that because they had guns, regardless of whether they are military or they were civilians, so the order were that the vessel needed to be sunk.
Okay, I want to ask you about something you said in another interview, and that is, do you recall an interview you gave in 2007 to someone named Danny from DC Cam?
I can recall, but I forget her face now. I remember when she went to interview me.
Okay, I'm going to read part of that interview, and in Khmer, the ERN, this is, from the document is E305/13.23/382. The Khmer ERN 00955507, and on to the next page. In French, it's 00980444, and in English, 00978576. At that point, Sir, Danny asked, did you say that you had captured some Yuans? You answered, if they had arrested Yuans, they killed them. Question, where did they kill them? You answered, sometimes they killed them on the island. Danny asked, did not they send them to the shore? You answered, sometimes they killed them on the island. And Danny asked, were they mostly Yuan soldiers? And you said, they were mostly the refugees escaping to the third country. Most of those people were escaping from a war and traveling through our area. When we arrested them, we shot them to dead. The question, was it the order from the division to arrest and kill them, or did you act on your own? And you answered, it was the order from the division. Danny asked, who gave the order? And you said the order came from Tamut. The question, was it the order to kill? And you said yes. And then Danny asked, did they also send any of them to the shore? And you said yes, they did. So when you're talking there about killing refugees escaping to a third country, can you explain where those orders came from?
Answer. This is true. It is true what you read. The Vietnamese ships, most of those ships went to the third country. The situation was chaotic. There were orders from the division. Actually, the division did not issue the orders directly to my unit. So the orders came down in hierarchical order from top to the bottom. And then it was the soldiers who implemented the orders. Concerning the Vietnamese, some of them were sent to us on board, and on some other occasions, if there were many of the Vietnamese, they would be sent ashore. But if there were only a few Vietnamese, they would be killed on the island. This was the real situation. It was a time when I did not leave the division yet. The situation I described happened when I was in Regiment 622. Later on, in 1977, I was stationed at Ochetil. The situation you described happened in the Bulawayo Island. So what I said is to respond to your questions.
Thank you. When you were with Regiment 62 at Koh Puluwai Island, do you remember one particular case of a Vietnamese couple and their infant, about 1-year-old infant?
Answer: yes, I can recall it. One day, 3 Vietnamese were arrested, husband, wife, and a 1-year-old child. After they were sent to Puluwai Island, I saw the soldiers from a special unit of Regiment 622 tied the 3 Vietnamese and put them under a coconut tree. Later on, they were killed with the hoes and the bamboo clubs, and the 3 Vietnamese died. They were told to kneel down under the coconut tree at that time, and their hands were tied to their back. The 1-year-old child, when it saw the mother was bleeding, the baby crawled to the mother, and at that time the soldier picked up the baby and smashed against the trunk of the coconut tree.
Were any of the people in that family soldiers?
Answer: they were civilians. They were ordinary citizens, since they had no military uniforms on them, and perhaps they were ordinary citizens.
Do you know where they were captured?
Answer: they were captured off Pulawai Island, about 5 kilometers away of the island, Pulawai Island. The ship or the boat was small. It could not be away from Pulawai Island, and at that time the boat was captured. The boat with 3 Vietnamese was captured, and they were perhaps ordinary citizens.
Thank you. Now, you talked about how these orders came from the upper echelon, from the division down. How were these orders communicated? first of all, when you were working on a boat, did the boats have radios?
Answer. In each ship, there was a radio operating system. When there was a capture, we had to make a report to the battalion, and then it was the battalion who made the report up to regiment, and the regiment reported to the division. So this was the reporting system.
Do you know if written reports were made about incidents at sea in particular?
Answer. There were written reports compiled as well.
Your Honor, I would like to show the witness a report or a document, and it appears that we have two copies and a slightly different translation of each, but they're E3/928 and E3/929. And I believe they're the identical document. I'm going to show the witness, unless someone wants me to show both, 928, E3/928. May, Your Honor, this document be shown to the witness and put on the screen?
President, you can do so.
Mr. President, I object to showing this document to the witness. I know you will deny my objection, but
President, please remove the document from the witness first.
I object to showing this document. Obviously, this witness is all the way down in the hierarchy. He has nothing intelligent to say about the division report allegedly going up. It's just probably intended to have this rendered into or brought into the evidence of this particular witness. As I said, I know you will object. He's not the author of the report. He's not the recipient of the report. He has no idea about reporting from division all the way up. He doesn't have any idea about reporting from division down. He can only say something intelligently about his own unit going up and from that unit going down. That's all.
President, you have the floor now, counsel for Mr. Kyosampon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. To complete my colleague's objection, even before we can decide whether the chamber will grant the request of the co-prosecutor, I think that we have adopted a method in examining witnesses. So before presenting a document to a witness, we have to ask questions to the witness to see what the link there might be between the witness and the document, and to see if he's aware of this document, and then we can see maybe how we can present a document to him. But now showing him the document right off the bat, especially given the witness's level of awareness, I think it's a bit premature.
President, you have the floor now, Judge Lavagna.
Yes, I think the co-prosecutor has clarified this, but does this report concern arrests? If that's the case, I think that we have already put many questions regarding arrests to this witness.
Yes, specifically it refers, is that a question for me, Your Honor? Yes, specifically it refers to the arrests and the, I would say, execution of Vietnamese captured.
President, you have the floor now, Council.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, here I have a problem in terms of methodology. Beyond considering arrests in generic terms, if we want to refer to a document speaking about one specific incident, so we should ask questions about that specific incident to see if the witness is aware of this. The document says that secret telephone conversation with a specific date here. So I think we can put questions beforehand, but if the document speaks about, it's not because the document speaks about arrests in general that we can find a link directly with the witness. The chamber was very demanding with the defense and with regard to this kind of issue, so I'm requesting the same kind of level of exigency for the co-prosecution.
This time, you are allowed to do so, international lead co-lawyers for civil party. So you have the floor this time. Next time, make sure that you after the co-prosecutor, after the co-prosecutor or the party in its sequential order. So you have to be sure on when to rise up and make your response or submission. So you are allowed to do so this time.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I simply wanted to indicate that this document was already presented to the witness during the investigation, and the witness already reacted to this document, so he's familiar with this document, and I'm referring here to document E319/23.3.43.3, and in which the present document is annexed. So it appears to me that this document was already presented to the witness.
President, the objection by the defense counsel to the presentation or the show of the two documents to the witness is overruled, since the two documents are relevant, and since also the information from the witness is also relevant. Court officers, please provide the document to the witness so that the witness can have a look. And AV units is instructed to project the document on the screen as well.
Mr. Witness, just to save time, I'll let you know that I'm only going to ask you about the first paragraph and some of the headings and signatures. I'm not asking you about paragraphs 2, 3, and the last paragraph. Okay, Mr. Witness, can I ask the question, then if you need more time to look at the document, you may do so. Sir, the document appears to be dated at the top in the heading and also just above the signature, the 1st of April, 1978. And it says on the left it's Division 164, political section. On the 1st of April, 1978, were you part of Division 164?
Witness from 1978 up to 1979, I was part of
Part of that division? We didn't quite get in English, at least, your answer. And April 1st, 1978, were you part of Division 164?
answer. Yes, it was in 1978 and perhaps 1979. I was a part of this division. However, in 1979, I was in part of the division for a brief moment.
Okay, thank you. Now, it appears at the bottom that it's signed by, or at least the name is printed, Mut. Who in Division 164 was known as Mut? If you know?
Answer. Mut is Mihmut. He was the commander of division in Kampong Sam.
Now, the first paragraph speaks of an incident, and I want to ask you if you have any knowledge of this. It says, and frankly, there's two different translations in English, and I'm using the translation which my colleague tells me is more accurate from E3/928. It says the total number of arrested and shot to death Vietnamese from 27 March 78 through 30 March 1978 is 120 head. And then it goes on to say, in this period, we also confiscated 5 machine boats of 10 cc to 37 cc machine, mighty, a number of weapons, included an M79 and other materials. Sir, do you have any knowledge of that incident?
Mr. President?
President, please hold on, Mr. Vinay. You have the floor now, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you. I object to the phrasing of this question. The prosecution is using 2 documents. and the sentence that he doesn't like, he takes from one document, and the sentence that he likes, he takes from the other document. Because E3/929 says total number of arrested and fired Vietnamese from, and the other document says shot to death. Now, I don't know what the original Khmer says, but it's either using one document, reading the whole excerpt, or using the other document. You cannot just have the best of both worlds.
Your Honor, I would say it in Khmer if I could. Unfortunately, I cannot. But I just suggest if counsel refers to his team, his Khmer-speaking team, if they have any question about that, then I'll withdraw my question. But from my speaking to other Khmer speakers, that's the correct translation. But if there's a disagreement, then please let us know. We have very educated Khmer speakers on the other side.
The solution would be if the national colleague of Mr. Kumjan would read the original Khmer, and then the interpreters can translate. That's also a possibility.
Thank you for that suggestion. That's very fair. I'm happy to do that.
Chong So-won. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I will read the original Khmer that the international colleague read to you a while ago, E3/929. For transcripts, the document is E3/929, and there is another document, E3/928, and from my review, it is the same document. So I will read the whole document in, in the whole part. The total number of Vietnamese who are captured and shot to death from 22nd March 1978 up to 30th March 1978 were 120 heads. 10 cc to 30 cc, 5 votes of 10 cc and 30 cc, M71, one weapon, and other materials.
Sir, hearing that, does that incident, do you have any recollection of that incident? And if not, just tell us whether you do or do not.
Witness, I cannot recall the story described in the paper, in the document.
Okay, thank you. Now, sir, at one time, if I understood from your interviews, you did work, this is after 1979, after the fall of the Khmer Rouge. You worked as a messenger. Is that correct?
Answer. I was a messenger and a guard of Tamut in 1979, taking people from Kampong Som to Thailand. There were around 30,000 people that I took from Kampong Som to Thailand under the command of Amir Mahmoud. He ordered me to bring those people across to Thailand. President, Mr. Witness, please listen carefully to the question and please give your response to the limit of the question. The question is, did you ever become a messenger? So the answer should be brief and short from you. There will be subsequent questions put by parties afterwards, so please listen carefully and give your response carefully as well.
Thank you. So, Mr. Witness, can you tell us, based on the experiences you've had, whether this type of message was typical of communications between the Division 164, and it says it's addressed to Uncle Nguyen, Brother Van, and documentation. Do you know if it was common to have this kind of communication between Mias Mut and these people?
Mr. President, this is a clear invitation for this witness to speculate. He has no knowledge whatsoever of communication between the division and UP. Trying to have him have his position after 79 as a messenger then linked to what happened in 78 is a very cheap way of trying to get some evidence out of this witness. It's pure speculation that he is inviting this witness to entertain.
Your Honor, I'm asking the witness if he has that knowledge. If he doesn't, I hope he tells us he doesn't. But whether he does or does not, that's the question. I don't know the answer.
President, the objection of the defense team is overruled. The chamber needs to hear the response to the last question put by international co-prosecutor. Mr. Witness, if you understand the question, please give your response to that last question put by international co-prosecutor. Witness. I do not know all of those you described. President, thank you. It is now lunchtime. The chamber will take a lunchtime break from now until 1:30. And the chamber would like to inform parties that at 1 in the afternoon, the chamber will hold a swearing ceremony for one investigator. And the hearing of a swearing-in ceremony will be about 10 to 15 minutes. Court officer, please assist the witness during the lunch break, and please invite him back into the courtroom together with his duty counsel at 1:30. Security personnel are instructed to bring Mr. Kilsampon to the waiting room downstairs and have him returned into the courtroom in the afternoon at 1:30 or a little bit before 1:30. Since, as I have just told, that there will be, a hearing of swearing ceremony in the afternoon at 1. The court is now in